Hello friends, in today's video, let's talk about the 2014 Tesco PLC scandal. The value of this scandal was to the tune of £263 million. Hi, my name is Pratheej and welcome to Deep Dive into IFRS. Tesco PLC is the largest retailer in UK. It's more like a chain of supermarkets. So, because of this scandal, Tesco ended up violating 4 standards and the conceptual framework. The standards were IFRS 15, IAS 16, IAS 1, conceptual framework, and finally IAS 8. Let us go one by one and see what Tesco did and what the violations of the standards were. First, IFRS 15 violation. So, being the largest retailer in UK, Tesco had agreements with almost all the major players in the market, like Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Unilever, Nestle, whatever brand you name it, Tesco had agreements with all of them. And the agreements were to offer rebates or incentives to Tesco. Now, I'll explain this better so that you can understand the context. These suppliers will give their products to be showcased in Tesco supermarkets, and if Tesco meets a certain target sale, that is, it can be maybe 1 million quantities of Coca-Cola sold in a particular month, or it can be 1,000 packets of Kellogg's sold in a particular month. So based on each contract and based on the fulfillment of the terms, the suppliers would offer a rebate or an incentive to Tesco. So this would be an income for Tesco once the performance obligation is fulfilled. But what Tesco did was, immediately on signing contracts with all these suppliers with respect to rebates and incentives, right away they recognized the income in their books. Now let's see how this was in breach of IFRS 15. IFRS 15, as you guys know, it follows a 5-step model. Only when you satisfy all these 5 steps can the revenue be recognized. The 5 steps are as follows. Number 1, identify the contract with the customer. Number 2, determine the performance obligations in the contract. Number 3, determine the transaction price. Number 5, allocate the performance obligations to the transaction price. And finally, number 5, recognize revenue only when all of the performance obligations are met. But in the case of Tesco, as you have already seen, they didn't wait for any of this to happen. Right when the contract and agreement was signed, they recognized the revenue and thereby inflating the sales and the profit. Number 2, IAS 16. So Tesco received payments from a lot of suppliers, and these payments were meant for reducing Tesco's marketing or promotional costs. Now what this means is, generally you must have seen in supermarkets that for improving the sales of a certain brand, the supermarket offers discounts and there are promotional campaigns, etc. So for this there is a certain cost involved, and the suppliers of certain products, they gave this money to Tesco so that the promotional cost or the marketing campaign cost of Tesco can be reduced. So this is actually either an income for Tesco or more like a cost reduction. They can reduce this amount from the marketing campaign cost or the discount offered cost, etc. But what Tesco did was, Tesco claimed that these were long-term contributions by the suppliers for installing fixtures, furniture and other interiors in Tesco. Now, making these claims, Tesco capitalized all of these amounts received as property, plant and equipment as per IAS 16. Now, what is the breach here? As per IAS 16, as you guys know, only those costs that are directly responsible for bringing an asset to its present condition and location can be capitalized. In this case, there is no asset at all. So where is the question of an expense for bringing it to the present condition and location? So this was in direct breach of IAS 16. Next, IAS 1. In the case of Tesco, as you guys have seen, they misstated the revenue. They recognized revenue when there was no revenue at all. And the expenses were actually capitalized as PPE. And even the statutory auditors give a clean opinion. What is a breach here? As per IAS 1, the financial statement should represent the faithful picture of the performance and the financial position of the entity. Now, when you classify expense as asset and when you recognize income when there is no income at all, that is a direct breach of IAS 1. Now, the breach of IFRS conceptual framework. As per the conceptual framework of IFRS, the following are the qualitative characteristics that a financial statement should possess. Faithful representation of financial information. The concept of accrual accounting, that is, recognizing an income only when it is earned. Then substance over form, and finally comparability, that is the ability to compare a previous period's financial statement with the current period. Now when the accounting is done in a different way for recognizing income in this year compared to the actual proper accounting of last year, there is no comparison at all. So all these qualitative characteristics were violated by Tesco's actions. Now finally, the breach of IAS 8. So this whole scandal was brought to light by a whistleblower in 2014, and post that an internal investigation was carried out and all the violations were found out. But instead of actually restating the figures of the past financials, what Tesco did was, it restated the current period and future period financials. So this ended up hiding the original mistake, and the tracking of the actual mistakes, actual violations that happened in the previous years was very hard. So what is the violation here? Tesco changed the method of recognizing the revenue, but by way of disclosure, it should have actually given the following. What was the old method of recognizing revenue? What is the new method of recognizing revenue? And why this change was made from the old old method to the new method and the impact this change had on the financials. None of this was disclosed, and this failure to disclose information was in direct breach of IAS 8. Now finally, let me give you a summary of the impact. What all happened because of all these violations and scrutiny and investigation. Number one, there was a profit overstatement of around 263 million pounds across years. Number two, there was an asset inflation. That is, expenses were capitalized as asset and the asset figure shot up. Number three, regulatory action. Tesco was fined approximately 129 million pounds. Number four, the audit implications. The statutory auditors PwC was scrutinized but not penalized. And finally, because of all this, the CEO, CFO, and multiple other executives had to resign. So as you can see, even minor violations of IFRS can result in a huge scandal like this. So always be careful to follow IFRS when you're preparing your books of accounts. I hope this video was informative and useful to you guys. Till I see you in my next episode, thank you for your valuable time.